Hi, everybody. Welcome to Untapped. My name is Maureen, the even the queen, the even the princess. I'm actually thinking I should say Pinulo the answer from now on, but that's neither here nor there. Welcome to another episode. I do not chill alone. I chill with the one and only.
Mash D.
How you doing, Mesh D?
I'm fresh and my fresh just get fresher.
What's the mood? What's the temperature? How are you feeling generally?
I'm cozy chilling. I'm cozy
Cozy chilling.
chilling. Yeah.
The diamonds.
Diamonds in production, they always glow greater than the pressure.
Hey, yo.
Yeah, the pressure isn't as pressuring as it's been.
So it's okay. It's better.
Yeah, we're better now.
Okay. Welcome to another episode. Once again, if you're new here, please subscribe. Let us know what you've been tapped into so you can tap into that as well. If you're coming back and you haven't subscribed, what have you been doing? Talk to us. Let us know what you're thinking, what you're tapped into so we can, talk about it. But anyway, let's get into it, my dog. What have you been tapped into?
I've been coming across a lot of conversations around AI. Like AI has been sort of the buzzword. It's been a thing since like 2022 when ChatGPT dropped, but I feel like coming towards the end of last year and OpenAI having newer models and like DeepSeek now and like all those controversies around the ethics that surround it, Tesla's bought. I think there's a big conversation around AI, and I've been coming across a lot of AI related content, right? And I've been thinking about where I stand, because I've very much been like, AI shouldn't interfere with like people's professions. It wouldn't be good for AI to interfere with people's professions, like with like a designer, a graphic designer. You don't want AI to replace the graphic design. It's like the thinking that I kind of had adopted was very much extreme, in that I was like very much like, like AI is bad and AI should just be doing AI type tasks. Like let it clean, let it, don't let it get involved with like the important stuff. But then the more I do what I need to do in my sort of work and how much I've been like using AI to like enhance everything I'm doing, I'm sort of beginning to lean more towards its inevitability and the need to just adjust, right? And okay, leave that thought on the side. So there's all these conversations that I've been coming across. I came across a principal AI engineer of one of our big banks in SA. Like he was featured on a podcast. And he was like very bullish on AI, talking about how the analogy he had used was AI is like Atchar. It's like you need it in like, you can have it with your braai, you could have it with rice, you could have it, it's like it can fit anywhere. Yeah. So I was like, this like when it's, and he's a principal AI engineer, which means he's a lead in his domain at that specific bank, right? And I was thinking about, obviously he did not start in AI. He started in tech, but somewhere else. But because he was willing to keep up with the times, he's like, so I was thinking about the people at the epitome of their fields are people that actually choose to adjust, like people that embrace innovation, right? And I was also thinking about, are those people the most counterproductive to like whatever space they fit in? It's like that mentality of them being willing to embrace innovations because that's what keeps them ahead, right? Yeah. Is it counterproductive? So if you think of Lupe Fiasco has a video on YouTube where he's like collaborating with AI to make a rap song. It's like, I'm going to start with this syllable. And I think there's a part of his lectures. He's going to have one soon at Johns Hopkins, but he's been teaching hip hop and rap. I think he has lectures on YouTube from MIT. And there's a part where he speaks on AI and he speaks about it in a very bullish sense. I was watching an interview of Justin LeBoy with Kanye recently. And Ye was also talking about the same thing, right? And Ye is at the top. He's like, Ye is very bullish on AI. And he's like saying people don't like AI. And he was making comparisons. He's like, it's in the same family as auto-tune. And you remember how pissed people were at auto-tune when it like launched, right? So yeah, like just those chats have been like sort of dominating my mind. There's also that piece I saw you checked it out, Montoya, that I wrote covering meme coins and contrasting
And you
that
took
with
it.
contrasting that with AI, right? But if you think of the startup I pointed out there, it's called Virtuals.
Co-ownership of AI is here. Virtuals Protocol presents Real Agents, Real Revenue. Tokenizing agents with 100% fair launch. No insiders. Revenue generated by agents is used to buy back and burn agent tokens. All on-chain. Discover agents with 1000x potential. Simple, fast, accessible. Co-own agents now at app.virtuals.io.
Virtuals, people are creating AI agents, right? It's a platform on Base. So Base is it's like an app store, but it's an app store by the biggest cryptocurrency exchange. It's called Coinbase in the US. So they built sort of a platform on the Ethereum blockchain where people can build amazing apps. So Virtuals is one of the apps, and Virtuals is the biggest sort of AI agent platform where you are smart enough to create an AI agent that tutors, right? You automated it. You created an AI agent. And this is another thing where I was thinking, why would I be against AI, right? Because think about this. I don't know if you've ever been in a situation where you were like, where you needed to go online, maybe to learn calculus or whatever.
For sure.
And it's always an Indian dude in the background, right? You'd never see the face.
All
but
those Excels type things.
you know, they're good. They're very good, but you never see their face.
Yeah.
So imagine creating an AI that can do the same thing and you don't see its face. I mean, the moral or the ethical side of, because someone doesn't even know if it's an actual person. All you want to do is to get the point across, help the child at math, help whatever. But Virtuals allows you, the creator, to sort of tokenize that. So just me believing in Maureen as the tutor, I can benefit from the growth of that AI agent. So, at its core, it also goes back to like Web3 and just democratizing access. Like crypto in its essence, at its core, it's democratizing access. Like you want to be a part of this thing. So, yeah. That's been a thing. It's like seeing the Ye chat and like him being so bullish. I'm like, Ye is at the top of his space, of his domain.
Yeah.
And he's,
you're saying a lot. Like it like gets me thinking on a lot. But I think what I certainly agree with is that whatever profession you're in, the whole Atchar analogy, I somewhat agree with that, in that whatever profession you're in, how you adapt to AI is what's going to set you apart. Because I think that we cannot deny the fact that it is here and people are using, and we can use it to
enhance
certain
so
processes.
Something real quick, ne?
Yeah.
That EA also pointed out. He's like samples. He's like when samples started, like people were against them like crazy. And you see how we talk about samples these days. It's like a prestigious thing.
Yeah.
You know, like if you're able to figure out like this song is this sample. You know, I was listening to Lil Sims recently, right?
Yeah.
And I was listening to Two Worlds Apart. And I was like, oh my God, this is Smokey Robinson. Right. And then I actually like went to the Smokey Robinson song and I was like, yes, this is where, and I searched and I verified and I was like, yeah, this is but it's like when you figure that out, like, yo, this is where this was sampled. It's amazing. But at its genesis, that was something
people
that,
didn't like
yeah,
it.
I think the
But it's-
Beatles, you can't even sample their
You can't
music.
sample the Beatles.
Yeah.
But I actually, I when I was like in varsity, I had a friend of mine called Annelisa, right? And she was like music head all around. And I think one time we were walking to campus and we were talking about Tracy Chapman's Fast Car. That song has been like remixed so many times. People have done covers of that song. There's so many things that and I was saying, I don't know what we were talking about, but I was actually against that. I was like, yo, I actually feel like it's like against originality. Like, get your own things, start your own things, and like put it up on scratch. Like put a product out that you started from scratch. And she was like to me, yo, samples is how you let legacies live on. It's how you like keep the thing alive. Like without samples, the thing dies. It goes away. That Fast Car song, there's a 5-year-old right now that's singing a newer version of Fast Car because somebody sampled the song or somebody covered the song that they like. Loyiso, for example, does a lot of covers. He reimagines songs all the time and people fall in love with those songs all the time, all over again. And that was such a perspective shift for me. I started thinking about it from a perspective of, oh, hold on, wait a minute. It's actually an honor for the person that's actually being sampled to be like, the kids mess with you.
Yeah,
you know
they
what I mean?
recognize.
They recognize how great you are. You've influenced. And also the fact that you do not create from nothing. As an individual, whatever you create from inspiration, you take from other things, right? So it's kind of selfish for you to have been inspired by other things, for you not to allow other people to be inspired by your things, to create the things that they want to create. So it's like, just on the samples thing, right? But back to the AI chat, I just feel like you adapt or die. That's just how human beings have been created. Evolution, all of that is based on adaptations, and the strongest ones who are the ones that adapt to the environment that is changing and try and survive. If you're trying to hold on to something that does not exist or will not exist in the next few years, it will not keep it longer for you. It doesn't mean that if you want to stay, if you deny the fact that AI exists in your life, it does not mean that it will stop existing. That's not how things work. You kind of have to identify, okay, this thing works. What does it not do that I can do? How can I work with this thing to make it better? So I don't think the people that are adapting to the current to what's happening right now and trying
Like
to
the
think
current
of the future.
AI narrative, yeah.
Yeah, I don't think they are being counterproductive. I think they are actually pushing the narrative and actually being productive. I think they're doing the opposite of what people think they're doing. I mean, there's extremes to these things, right? Where people just kind of go wild. I certainly do not want people to be out of jobs. I certainly do not want people to not be able to put food on their tables. But at the same time, it's like, it's a reality and we can see it's here. Like denying it is not going to take it away. We kind of have to adapt ourselves to what's currently happening. So,
But I also feel like there are going to be new jobs.
yes.
You know, I was reading a future jobs report. I can't remember who it was by, but it's like, they are going to be, it's just that you also need to
Yeah.
prepare yourself for the right, like with the
Yeah.
right skill sets for the future
Yeah.
job. Because it's like when tractors replaced workers at the farms. You know, it's like those people had to
Learn how
upskill.
to drive.
But they like not all of them could drive because they needed less tractors, like then workers. So it's
Yeah.
like going
Then
to
find something else.
completely pivot. You
Yeah.
know, so yeah, it's like we're also at a time where it's very important to pivot.
Yeah,
You know,
it is.
that's why you have something I tapped into is also like Mukondereri Mushiana's piece, Preachers of a
Yes.
New Gospel,
Yeah.
featured H&M and given on Culture Club Mag.
Yeah.
And I think like that piece was so well written. Like, and it also for me speaks to like we've entered sort of a Renaissance period, right? Like if you think of Tyler the Creator, like the conversation we were having the other time, that he's a Renaissance artist and he sort of came from his ascension was sort of birthed by Odd Future. And I look at what's happening with the Preachers
The
of a New
kids.
Gang. You know, I think what's happening with them is like you can't get innovation from the top. It's like it needs to be kids in the trenches, kids that are outside, kids that are trying to push the envelope. And I liked how she wrote that piece because it speaks to that so eloquently. Yeah. And just the fact that South Africa is under siege, that also speaks to a renaissance. Part of the reason why I was very happy or I was bullish on a Trump presidency was this. I didn't know it was going to play out like this, but I knew we were here. I knew with Trump, we were going to get the outright right-wing perspective. Right, like we're gonna the racism was stop. Like it was gonna stop being subtle because it's his last term. He doesn't have an incentive to say, "Yo, I'm working towards my next term." It's like now I'm gonna do everything that I'm gonna promise my people I'm gonna do. So I was happy with that about that. And it's that one point in time where it's like no fear. I like where the president's at with this. I like where we are as a country with this. Do you
mean the South African?
Yeah, our stance.
Yeah.
Like it's just pathetic. Yeah.
What do you mean? What do you mean? It's pathetic.
It's pathetic that we are still expected to bow down to, the West. I like how. President, 17% is a lot, but I like how he succinctly put it. That, yo, bro, like the US aid, bro, it's 17%
we are here to work hard. We are here to work with each other and,
Yeah.
But
nah, bro, like don't pigeonhole me over that, right? So it's that, but also just what Afriforum was trying to do and also putting them in their place. And now it's their oopsie moment. They're all over the place because they don't even know what they stand for anymore. It's like, yo, come seek asylum. I mean, you're going through a genocide. So that's been like on my mind, like how pathetic,
You're so right. Like, I feel like the past couple of weeks have been so eventful in that way. And I think it has kind of reinforced this idea in my head that like President Cyril Ramaphosa is very good when there's a crisis. Like that's a man you want during. I mean, I can't necessarily say this is a crisis per se, but like when things hit the fan, he's the kind of guy that will subtly tell you to just get away. You know what I mean?
I mean, like ICJ. There's so many things that you can look at and be like, damn, like he's really been coming. Rwanda, like with Paul Kagame, like he was
like, I'm not even gonna do this back and forth with you.
Yeah.
We have channels, we have ministers to deal with you. They will reply. They will talk to you. They will talk. We're not gonna do this thing. And I guess I love that about it. I'm enjoying seeing that because there's this narrative, and I guess it's what we do a lot as South Africans, that we like talking about. I mean, there's a lot of things that don't work in our country. Our last episode, we were talking about the things that make us not want to be here, right? But at the same time, there's a lot of good things about our country. There's a reason why this is like the place I want to stay. I want my kids to stay and be raised there because like of just the fabric, the moral fabric of the country. It's just like, it's good in its core, right? And how we are as people, our sarcasm, our humor, like it's so intelligent. I think we don't recognize that about ourselves, but we are an amazing bunch of people, right? And I feel that was represented so well in the last couple of weeks. That like, yeah, we do funny things, like we do, like we do great.
Yeah, like, it's like someone spoke about how South Africans are pissed at Julius for how he treated Mbuyiseni.
Yeah.
But they're with him against Elon. Like, And I like how stern we are and like the thinking is so aligned. And,
I feel like we're an intelligent group of people. We need to give ourselves that because we can call each other out, but still be like, yo, there's a greater thing that we want to protect and will protect. And I think even with the Afriforum and them just doing like this whole thing and them coming back and being like, oh, sorry, we are fine here.
Oopsie. I like Shoma Josie's thread.
Yeah,
about
she
it.
went in about it and just
Yeah,
like
it was so
this is a
accurate.
very like you and like there's a lot of like political commentators as well who were just coming up, even on TikTok, just being like, "Yo, you've messed up." Before they even came up to like apologize, before the refugee status was granted, before any of that, when they were just calling on President Trump to help them out, like people were coming out and be like, you just did something. And it's clear because when they did realize, oopsie, oopsie, they did come up and say, oopsie, oopsie, you know? And I think that's, in a sense, tells you something that we haven't lost everything, essentially. Like we are still like sane, we are still together in some form of thinking. So, you know, I enjoyed seeing that. But also, I guess in the past couple of weeks, there's been the DRC thing that's been happening, which is it's a very scary thing to talk about. And it's like somebody said that like the world is fighting over Wakanda, basically. Like there's all like Congo, the DRC has all these minerals, they're rich, they've got everything, but everybody benefits from it except them, right? And it reminded me of in a podcast I was watching, Sterling K. Brown was talking about, he starred on Black Panther, right? And he was talking about the idea that like in the first Black Panther, where they were trying to protect the vibranium for it not to go outside, for it to just stay within Wakanda. And Michael B. Jordan and Njobu, I think they were trying to kind of spread it around to make sure that all the people in the world that are Black or African are protected by the vibranium and they have access to the vibranium. And he was saying that like, yo, we can all have access to this thing. It does not have to stay in this little place. And I mean, he's coming from an American perspective. He's saying like, yo, Africa, you don't have to kind of gatekeep this thing that you have. We are all part of this bigger community, and you can spread those things out to all of us so we can all benefit. But I think it's also a very dangerous thing to say, because the reason why we protect our minerals or we want to protect the things that we have is because we haven't had the opportunity to do that before. They were taken away from us without our consent. Like our consent. Like it was just like, oh, you guys don't know what
That's
to do
the
with
thing.
it.
I feel like the problem is it's not based off of our terms.
Yeah. Right? And the DRC situation kind of speaks to that. It's like everybody, even the people that are there saying, oh no, we're different organizations, we're here to help the DRC, we're here to protect the people, we're here to... And it's like everybody seems to have an interest behind.
They have an incentive.
They have an incentive why they're doing what they're doing. And it seems like everybody else has a say on what should be happening, what must be happening, what the Congolese people need, except the Congolese. Because if you think about the past couple of weeks, which voices have you been hearing?
Everyone else.
Everybody else's voice except the people that actually
are affected
by the thing. So it's like, yeah, it's not that they probably don't want to share the thing. It's not that they probably just like keeping the thing from the world. It's like, if it has to go, if it has to be shared with the world, can it be done on our terms? Can we control how this thing gets distributed? But if you look at the situation, they don't have that control. They don't have that. It's like all of us are saying we're speaking on top of each other for these people that no one has even like stopped and said, yo, like what do the Congolese people want? If that's what they want, let's push for that. But you can hear what the US wants. You can hear what us at South Africa, the Rwandanese, everybody else, international organizations that are there saying, oh, we're here for peacekeeping. Do those people want you there? Also, what do those people want? If you say you're there for peacekeeping, what does peace look like for those people? You know? So it's like, yeah. I guess we went all the way around to just
but we've had this conversation the other time about like having to listen or understand what people are actually protesting or campaigning for, right? Before you actually just say I'm gonna help you.
What
Because
am I-
now
you helping
it's like a
me?
superiority complex.
We also don't know what Congolese people want. We are sitting here, we have heard so many narratives, but we don't know what they want.
But I feel like at least our stance, like in the peacekeeping context, it's like we are saying, yo, there's already a mess and we're here to just
to
like,
help you out.
yeah,
with
like the conversations are secondary to that. And perhaps that's where the engagement comes in. But well, already like it's a mess and we're here to try and maintain
help it.
Yeah.
But I mean, we're consistent. I think I like that about South Africa. We're consistent in how we advocate for peacekeeping in very different. I mean, when we did the Israel case the year before, people were like, "Oh, what are you doing about DRC?" But we had troops in the DRC even during that period.
Yeah.
So it's like the consistency is there as well, which is great. Which is great.
Yeah.
Anything else, my dog?
I think, yeah. And just, I think it goes back to the Sona and I mean, they're coming back, it seems. It wasn't clear, but it does seem like they're coming back. The troops are coming back. That's what a lot of people seem
have
to
been-
want.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've been wanting to talk to someone who actually knows how capable our military is. Because it's like two extreme chats. Like, yo, some
Right.
people are like 13, given the magnitude of what was going on, isn't a
Yeah.
lot of
Yeah.
atrocities. I don't know. Some people are like, yo, our soldiers aren't well equipped. It's like,
People
there's the-
say that, but honestly, sorry to cut you off. I actually don't believe that narrative.
that's the thing.
I do not
I
believe.
just don't know
I
enough
genuinely
about
do
it.
not. I
Yeah.
also don't know enough about it to be talking
Yeah.
about it anyway.
Yeah.
But to be honest, I actually don't believe we are.
How many of the other rebels died
we're
and stuff? Like, I
incapable.
think that information also
I
is-
think we downplay how capable we are. Because the thing is, you see the videos of things happening, going wrong, and like people making jokes about something that happened while in training or whatever. But I
The
feel
Mabena
like,
video,
yeah,
yeah.
the Mabena videos and all of that. But I feel like people don't know this, but like space exploration in South Africa started in the military. And we were like ahead of so many countries because it's just that stuff is not public. Because
South Africa is ahead in a lot of things.
we don't talk about that. So
Yeah.
I find it hard to believe that we're incapable. I don't know much on the issue to
I
even
also don't
say,
think our
but
military is weak.
yeah,
Maybe it does need to improve in some context, but I don't think it's
Yeah.
weak.
yeah. But it's
Yeah.
that. It's that.
Yeah.
Okay. Anything else, my dog?
Yeah, I'm still on the Sona. Like, what would you say? Because I listened to it and I listened to what like all the other people were saying just after like
Yeah.
all the other political parties. It was weird, especially the parties that are in the GNU, because it was very hard for them to express how they genuinely felt. But I wanted to know from your perspective. I don't know if you watched it.
Didn't watch
Parts
the
of
entire
it.
thing. Parts of
Okay.
it and some commentary.
Okay, so from the parts you watched in the commentary, right? We had a big idea around like Tumamina in the beginning of Cyril's tenure, and then that shifted more recently to Tinyiko, right? Or Tinyiko's our conundrum. It's Tintswalo.
We didn't create the new
We still manned it like from JJ, right? But like you have Tintswalo, you have Tumamina, then you have Tintswalo. Do you think we're still at Tintswalo? Do you think what Cyril was saying sort of brings up a new sentiment, brings up a new narrative? What is it?
I think what he said, like, and how he's been kind of conducting himself in the last couple of weeks, I feel like breeds kind of a very different narrative. Because if you think about Tumamina is put me out there, I'll go where you want me to go. Put me out there. Then Ntswalo is, look, you've benefited. There's all this benefits.
It was
you
like
have
a
access to.
guilty conscious type move.
I think right now he's on some, I don't even like excellence, like watch me play type of vibe, like watch me cook type of energy.
Okay.
You know, I don't know how I would call that or like what I would term that, but I feel like he's on some. I was built for this, and you're about to find out why.
Because I mean, with the commentary, right? A lot of the rebuttals centered around how he did not speak on anything
Yeah.
that he spoke on with the Nzalo. Like he didn't reflect on, this is the progress that we've made in this and this regard. But he was stern on what's to come. Like, we're
Yes.
going to put 3 billion here and
Yes.
this many billions here. And, we're going to tighten our justice system and corruption. And
People
and
will get punished.
yeah. And like even the energy in the room when he was talking about corruption, I feel like Para will always linger over him, and
Yeah.
it's something that he needs to just
No, he's
like.
But
It's something he needs to work on getting over, like taking accountability, if that's what it means. I feel like if Cyril gets that cloud, like
out of. But
yeah,
it's
out of
not
his
just
way-
Para though. It's Marikana as well.
I feel like Marikana is less significant because Marikana can
Mm.
very much be, because it's those are moral chats. Like in terms of how people feel about what Cyril did, it's like he wasn't found guilty of anything.
Yeah.
But with the whole para thing, it's like, dog, there were dollars in your couch.
I get that. And that's it's an interesting thing to think about because personally, I don't think there's a president who doesn't have that kind of stuff. I would not want it to be that way. I would not want presidents to be corrupt or to have access to funds that they're not supposed to have according to the legislation or the laws of the country they govern. But I think that as a president, you have to have something that's unknown. You can't just exist in this world where everything is above board. You're a politician at the end of the day, and politicians are politicians. As much as we want them to be like saints and all of that, they're not saints. So I kind of, in the back of my mind, already had the idea that there's some stuff that's happening in the background that's not great because it's a politician I'm dealing with, right? But I think the Marikana thing is different for me because it's like, I get you because you're a politician, you have to do certain things, but like morally, for you to allow people to die, to look at people that are just fighting for like a basic income as criminals, that for me is more problematic. You know what I mean?
But I feel like that's more a stench on his legacy. You get me? Like, we can't, like, what will arguing Marikana in parliament help us with? You get me? Like, I feel like that's what I'm saying. The whole chat around para, that's accountability. That's like you're a sitting president, and this is a real case. Like, this is a criminal offense. So account. Right? Like, we're not saying he should go to jail. I mean, he's a president. It doesn't even look... Yeah, like, fine him, something. But, like, let's get this behind us, bro. Like, I feel like we can move forward in so many different ways.
Yeah, but do you think that, like, is more powerful? The stench of that is more powerful than what he is currently doing and what he's trying to do?
No, I feel like he could literally get to the end of his tenure just ignoring every single motion to do with para.
Do you know what's interesting?
Because he's been protected by the FSCA,
Yeah.
He's been protected by the Reserve Bank. So in that context, he's safe. Like, you saw the statement that they released. So in that context, he can stall. I'm just saying for him, like, there's absolutely no account, bro. It's
that is
so
such an
obvious.
interesting thing.
Yeah.
I feel like it's an interesting thing that you think that way about the situation.
Yeah. Like, what? Like, what way? Like, he can stall, or the fact that I think it's significant.
The fact that the fact that you think it's more significant than Marikana.
Yeah. Okay.
I think that's interesting.
I feel like
because
Marikana is in stone. That's my point. I'm not saying it's more significant. I'm just saying Marikana is in stone. Like, Marikana, what is there to talk about and argue? You get me? Like,
but same thing.
I agree with you in that, like, morally what he did was wrong, and there are emails to prove it. That's what I'm saying. Like, Marikana is in stone.
Yeah.
You get me? Like, he did it. He
said the things he said.
Yes,
Sharp.
and they were wrong morally.
Yes.
Right? But I feel like we have no business talking about, like, it's like how we can talk about Mbeki and his HI, like, it's a stench on his legacy.
Yeah.
You get me? And some people understand that point of view that he held.
So are you saying that he has the opportunity to kind of save the situation in some way?
I feel like it helps him, but he has no incentive to.
Okay.
Like he could get to the end of
Okay.
his
Okay.
tenure and like never.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, I hear you.
Yeah.
I hear you. I've never thought about it like that. I've always had it at the back of my mind because, as I said, I always feel like politicians always have stuff that's happening in the background.
But
we
that
don't
doesn't mean we
see.
should normalize it.
I'm not saying we should normalize
I get
it.
you, but I'm
and that's
just
why the
saying,
thing
like-
is a thing. That's why
Yeah.
it's like everybody brings it up all the time because it's not supposed to be normal. It's not supposed to be right. It's wrong. But I'm saying at the back of my mind, like when something like that comes up, it's surprising, it's shocking that a sitting president would have something like that. And do you know what I'm actually more surprised by? I'm more surprised by the fact that we got to know about it. Because I would think that if something like that happens to the president or it's around is happening around the president, that will be kept in so many closed
But even how we
envelopes and
found out, you see, like
confidential.
we weren't
Right.
supposed to know.
Yeah.
weren't
So
supposed to know.
my thing is, my mind understands that, like, or thinks about it this way, that like there's things happening in the background that they have not
I have no
seen.
privy to.
I have no privy to. So I know it's happening. I know something is happening, but I don't know what, right? So when it does come up, it's surprising. It's like, yo, that's wild. I didn't think that would happen. But at the back of my mind, I kind of have it that there's things happening in the background. The Americana situation, right? It's like, yo, like,
Except, where we can, like the conversations that are to be had, perhaps are compensating people. Maybe those are the conversations. But we
the
can't,
families of the people that
yeah,
lost
and
and
like,
the guys
has it been? I mean, they have been compensated to a certain degree, but I mean, has it been done right? All of that. I feel like those are the conversations we should be having.
yeah.
But having the conversation about Cyril's,
Do you know what? I just want to see Cyril cook. Like, I want to see what he says he will do happen.
okay,
And I guess it's like all of these things that are part of his legacy, that are not so great. I see them and I recognize them. I'm like, okay. And honestly, like, it's terrible things. It's not like, but at the same time, I'm like, we are here now and we need something to happen. People need jobs. People need things to work. People need their money. They need access to things. Do something. The best thing you can do, like, you can't go back in time and change Marikana. You can't go back in time and, like, close off the files or not have the dollars that you were not supposed to have in your couch. Like, you can't go back and do that, any of that. What you can give to the people of South Africa is actually delivering on the things that you said you're going to do. And that's why I'm saying, like, right now, I feel like it's different from the three things that he has been saying in the past couple of years. The Tumamina, the Tinzwalo, now it's like execution mode. And I want to see execution mode. I don't want to be guilt-tripped into thinking I'm a Tinzwalo. I don't want to be told, hey, go and... I mean, it's something I advocate for. I want people to help their communities and go out and be part of their communities. I don't want you to be telling me that. I want you to be showing me what excellence looks like from the highest possible point in this country. And that's you as a president showing up. And I want to see that. So, yeah.
cool. I'm with you on that one.
I'm going to go into something...
Just that I'm not. I think he's the best option we have. I can't think of someone better right now.
I mean, there's Mbuyiseni. I mean, I'm not saying he should be president, but I'm saying that I was watching his interview.
He's
and
over politics right now.
And I was listening to him talk about how he's like, I'm not going to do this anymore. I don't want to be part of I'm going into civil, what does he call it? Civil justice or something. Like, he was like, he's going into that. He wants to help on the ground. He wants to be with the people. And I was like, I remember an interview of him on Clement Manyatela's show. I think it was on 702, where people were just calling in and talking, just giving testament of the kind of person he is. Like, people he went to high school with, people he was in a choir with, people that he went to, like, debate competitions with, that were just like, yo, I can attest to this man's character. Like, this is the kind of person he is. And I think I haven't seen that in a very long time. So that was nice. It was nice to kind of see somebody who has that kind of report from people. It's almost like every time you hear about a politician, it's like, oh, they have these scandals and whatever. But it's not frequent where you will see people just coming up and saying, yo, this person that you're seeing now is the same person I experienced 10 years ago in high school, 20 years ago in high school or whatever. So I'm throwing that hat somewhere.
Yeah, I liked his assessment of the entire situation. When I was here, when I was like, the whole miscalculated tactics of entanglement. I was like, yo, that phrase can't get out of my head. He said something like that. Maybe I'm not saying it right. Miscalculated tactics of entanglement. And it's the whole situation around the relationship with the MK party. Right? Like, I feel like his assessment of that situation and how that was sort of the genesis of just everything breaking apart. I feel like it's the most sound assessment
out of all the narratives we've been getting.
Yeah, like, and you made a big mistake, and it's not wrong for anyone to go to the MK party. Like, you guys were the people that were engaging, like, hey, we are one thing.
Yes,
we are
and then all of a
thing.
sudden you wake up tomorrow morning. I think you also touched on the idea of rewriting history to a certain extent, to be like, no, fam, like, people didn't just wake up one day and say, oh, the MK party. This was introduced by leadership to people, right? Within
like,
the EFF.
This is our family.
You can't just wake up tomorrow and then decide this is not what I'm going to do.
He also made reference to Chris Hani living like ANC structures and going to the SACP.
Right.
And he's like, the ANC couldn't be like, yo, you're betraying us, because it's like, he's still there.
He spoke about theories, political theories. I found that so interesting. Him saying like, the theory is still the same. These people are on the same line. Oh, what is it? The equator? Did he say equator?
Yeah.
But he was talking about a line. He was saying like, these people are still on the same side of the line as you. So you have no right to be saying these people are traitors. These people are your enemies. Like, how does the working class become your enemy when you are fighting for the working class? Like, it does not make sense.
Yeah.
So, but I'm throwing that name in the head somewhere. I think...
he'll definitely be back. I think guys like... Buyiseni, guys like Sizwe Mpofu Walsh, guys like... Let me not say. But yeah, guys like that, right? Like, they are, like, I feel like they have a space in politics in, like, the future.
I hear you. But anyway, we've been talking, man. There's a lot. I want to tap into something that I was thinking about, but also something that I saw. So on the 9th of Feb, which was basically yesterday, I saw a post of a lady who was... a nuclear physicist in South Africa.
I know her.
Who passed away.
I know her.
And
she was passionate about it. I mean, I know her from like the socials. So she posted a lot on LinkedIn.
Yeah, I think her name is Senamile Masango.
Yeah.
I know her surname is Masango, definitely. I'm sorry if I butchered her name.
Yeah.
But like, and she has been documenting kind of her life.
Her journey.
Her
journey. To a T.
And she spoke about her dreams to go to NASA, and she showed like, okay, I've just finished my honors, finished my master's. I'm a PhD candidate. Like, this is where I'm going.
I'm a nuclear physicist.
You can see this
the
is
whole
the
journey
path
was,
I'm going. And that for me was like, got me thinking like about myself, and like, I need to actually execute on the ideas that I've been sleeping on or I've been sitting on. Because I don't know when all of this will be over. I don't know if I will wake up tomorrow, or if I wake up tomorrow, if I won't wake up tomorrow. And just looking back, and I'm like, there isn't much that speaks to the very thing that I actually want to do, you know? So, yeah, that was such a sobering thing. Like, seeing that she was so young. She was like living, it's like me being on this podcast talking so much about what I want to do. And one day I just go.
It's like, this is our moment.
Right?
Like, we're living, and like, it's so crazy. You're right. Like, this is our moment and we die right now. It's like, it's so crazy.
Right?
Yeah. I mean, it doesn't matter. Like, that's how I see it. Like, it ends up not mattering. Like, because what matters is what you've done. Like, I'll look at your legacy and I'll be
Like-
proud of it, right? But I'll also be like, yo, she could have done so much more. And that's
Yeah.
on you,
Yeah.
right? Like, so yes, it should be a point of like reflection, like, yo, I need to actually execute. I have the ability to do so much more. I've just been sleeping and I've been slacking because I think I have a lot of time, but no one has. I mean, she just collapsed
Like,
on a flight. So, and she was going to give a keynote.
like,
So
bruh.
she was in her element. She was doing her thing. You get me? Like, imagine dying on a car accident coming to record Untapped. You know, it's like that.
It's like dying in the middle of. There's a book I read. I think it might have been The Fault in Our Stars or something.
Yeah.
Where it ends with like in the middle of a sentence, the person passes away, and that's literally the end of the book. It ends with me like right now. It could just end now while I'm talking. And that's literally how life and death feels like. It
Yeah.
feels like you're in the middle of the sentence of trying to finish this thing. I'm trying to get to the end. And then it's just like, "Tum." So I had to reflect on that. But even more so, because I had a conversation this weekend, somebody actually pointed out something to me about my character. And I was like, yo, they read me. And I kind of had to sit back and like listen to what they're saying and kind of understand if there's parts of what they're saying that I can identify with and I can work on and just improve or whatever, right? But the situation of how that came about was like, I felt like I need to be very conscious about like picking up other people's crosses that are not mine, right? And I say that in the sense that like, yo, this person giving me this feedback that they gave me, necessarily they were fighting for. It's like when we're arguing about something and I come up with a point of view, not necessarily because I agree with the point of view, but because I just want us to have that point of view when we are having this discussion, like a devil's advocate or something, just going to the most extreme, trying to push that
Still manning a conversation.
right, to the point that like both perspectives can be heard, right? But now I look at that situation, I was like, I had no business taking it that far.
Playing devil's advocate.
I had no business playing that. I don't even believe in this thing, right?
Yeah.
And now what this person has said to me has kind of shifted the way I look at them and potentially how I look at myself. In like, just it has shifted so much in my mental. But I didn't even have to experience that in that moment. You know what I mean? Like I could have just not done that. But there's something about that speaks to something that like we all want to talk for the person that can't speak for themselves. We all want to be part of the group that, you know, is not speak for the group or
Yeah,
you know,
that's why
represent
I
a-
don't have a problem with that because it's well intentioned. You know, because I'm more like, dog, like, I'll bully the bullies, bro. Like,
And
I have
shame.
all the energy in my
If
life.
you wanna be a bully, please try, man.
Yeah, because it's like, so I think sometimes it's like someone is in a position where like
Yeah.
you are in a better position to help them. You get
Yeah.
me? So it's not wrong because it was well intentioned. I just feel like I think you're more worried about the response you got, and that's why it comes back to that individual. Like if their reaction was like didn't take you there, you'd still be happy with the fact that you still meant the whole conversation, because even the intention, right, in bringing the other side is to get you to a better place. Like you're never
Yes.
really going to understand your side of the conversation or your idea
Yeah.
if you don't like stress test it with like the other side.
But I'm realizing that is very obvious to me. Like it's very obvious. Like if I'm having a conversation with you and I start defending capitalism, you know, like you would be like, this is what Maureen's doing. She's going to the extreme side of this thing. Like she's still manning the conversation so we can have this perspective. But I think that not a lot of people get that.
Oh, okay.
Right. So
Okay.
like it's almost like you have to say it that guys, for the point of this debate, for the point of this conversation, I am doing this. Because if you don't do that, people kind of thing. And the person went very personal. And that's why I was like, yo, I didn't even have to get to this point.
But I feel
That's-
like if that you get to that point, you just point out that, hey man, by the way, I don't hold this point of view. I was actually having a tiff now about minimum wage.
Yeah.
Right? And I was obviously on the socialist side, like, yo, no, dog, like the minimum wage in SA is as low as it can be.
Yeah.
We're not pushing it lower. And like the other side is obviously like, yo, more people will have opportunities. And like, imagine if like there was I was getting 800 Rand alone, but now we each get 300, you know?
Yeah.
And like now the family has more, but like the conversation like got deeper, and we started speaking about what are you then able to do with the 300, and it became a whole. And my friend who wasn't part of the back and forth was like, where do you stand? You get
Like
me?
they pointed up personally. Like,
Yeah,
where do you stand?
okay, this conversation is being had. And I was like, because the conversation started on, like, he was the one that was like even started it, and it wasn't like me and the other homie having the chat. Like, he was the one that was just asking, yo, I've never really understood the whole idea. I can't remember what we're talking about, but he's like, I've never really understood what right wing and left wing means. So I started pointing out ideas. So I threw around ideas. So as I was talking, one of the things I pointed out that is very left leaning is minimum wage. I was like, Karl Marx like envisioned the idea, and it's like it's a price ceiling. I mean, it's a price floor above equilibrium. So it's like,
it's just right there.
yeah, it's above. So it's like the market is saying 100. You're setting it at 150.
Yeah.
Because the 100 that the market is saying it will pay does not make sense. So when I pointed that idea, amongst many other ideas, it became a point of contention, right? So, but I was still thinking about it like, yo, this is a teachable moment. And it's like, I understand and I know that some people hold the perspective that, yo, paying people less really helps us. But what I was also trying to point out is the economy works mechanically, right? In that, if we say lowering the minimum wage is going to get more people opportunities, right? Say we live in a situation where even the amount of people that you want at that level, because people are hungry, way more, then mechanically the price will go lower, right? That's how, because there's an excess supply.
Yeah.
You get me? So we can't, if we're gonna base the metric just on the economics, it's not gonna make sense. Like, I know economics well enough to know that it's got like major flaws when you like just let the free market roam.
I hear you.
Yeah.
I hear you.
Yeah. It got to a whole other conversation. But my point is, there is nothing wrong with that. And that's, I think what you're saying about carrying the cross thing, that's very true and that's very right. But I don't think that situation is that deep. Like, I don't feel like that situation is you carrying a cross that like you shouldn't bear.
But I think maybe that situation was not that, but that's what it got me thinking of.
About.
Yeah. It's like,
I should be more discerning in situations where I
Yeah.
shouldn't bear the cross. You're right.
Because it's not that I disagree with even what they said or anything like that. It's like I wasn't trying to have that conversation then. Like, this is not what I was trying to get to. But it's like you get yourself in a position and people start shooting. You're like, oh. But that's a principle in life as well. It's like when you go out into the world and you're defending a cause, or you are like standing up for something, just be very aware that whoever you're defending the other people against can take that conversation or can take whatever the stakes are at a way different level that you didn't think of. And if you're willing to pay that price and you're willing to be the person that carries that cross, that's okay. But if you think about it and you're like, actually, this is just not what I'm trying to do, it's also okay to just not carry the cross. because you have no business in the first place carrying that cross. I know that we have the responsibility to each other to take care of each other as humanity. Mara, you can't carry a cross 19 You know what I mean? Like if
And also, I feel like sometimes it's also about the extent to which someone's helping themselves. I also have a life principle of like, I'll also help you to the extent that you're willing to help yourself. Because sometimes someone will ask you for help, and then when you start helping, you realize this person doesn't want to do anything.
or they work against you.
Yeah.
Right? So you're trying to help them, but then in you helping them, you become their enemy.
Yeah.
Right? Maybe it's like it's the self-awareness thing, that they're just not self-aware enough to recognize that you're trying to push them or whatever. But at the end of the day, it's like when you make that decision to go out and carry that cross and help somebody else, understand that that person could turn around tomorrow and be like, I didn't even...
There's so many ways to protect people you care about. Like, you can protect someone by not giving them money.
Yeah.
Because you're like, dude, I know what might just happen.
Yeah.
You know, like, let's not mess this thing up.
Yeah.
Let's be good homies still,
Let's
you know.
just keep it
But yeah, my question.
for the week.
My question for the week, right?
Is this a question for the week?
Yeah, it is a question for the week. To end it all off. And the part of the reason why it's like I'm cool with ending it off is because you don't need to ask me the question, because I basically said my sort of stance, which I think is the proliferation of AI is my answer, in the sense that like the question I want to ask is, what do you think is a big idea? Like your big idea of 2025. And like the same way I brought up AI and saying like, you know, the leaders are the people that are going to embrace it like Atchar. Like for you, what's that big idea? It could be any
Embrace
space.
it like Atchar.
Yeah, it doesn't need to even be contrarian. It doesn't need to be absurd. Just something that is like people were not paying attention to, but it's like 2025, you will see.
Are you saying that from, because I just went into my notes, because I have a big thing that I've been going, like just generally.
I don't know if it speaks to the big idea, but I mean, I'm talking in the sense that like something that's going to happen societally that you think people aren't paying attention to.
Damn, now I must be a prophet.
Yeah, I want you to tap into your Nostradamus, yeah.
What do I think? 2025.
Yeah.
I think this year, we're gonna see, but this is a very generic thing.
Okay.
But I think this year we're gonna see a lot of excellence.
Okay, in what sense?
In the sense that, like, I don't think the country's problems are all of the country's problems are gonna be solved. I don't think that's even possible. But I think that we're gonna be proud to be South African.
Yeah.
And not just from like recreational entertainment perspective, but from an execution point of view. I think we're going to see a shift in a lot of things.
Things are going to get done.
I think things are going to get done. I have no scientific basis for this. So please don't come with theories and
I hear
say,
you, yeah.
like, this, but I just have the feeling that like we are entering in like a space where execution is important. I think it hasn't been as prioritized in the previous years as we're seeing it now. I think it's a game on type of vibe. So I think certain things will work. I don't know if that helps.
A lot of people need to prove themselves.
Yeah, I think there's a sense that people want to prove themselves in some way, and I think that's going to be reflected in how the execution goes in general for the country, but also individually. I sense that. So I don't know.
That's dope.
I mean, that's a very generic thing.
Yeah,
I don't think
but
it's a very
big
like,
idea. That's a big execution.
I think
This
it's
yeah.
But I guess my general thing for this year, and it's something that I've been keeping at the back of my mind, and it speaks to execution as well, but it's like, don't disappoint yourself. Don't let yourself down. I literally have those words like written out. Don't disappoint yourself. Do not let yourself down.
Yeah.
And for me, that's just like, I don't want to miss my mark. However that looks like, I don't want to miss my mark, because that for me would be me disappointing myself. And it's not speaking to a specific goal that I mean, it's speaking to specific goals that I have, because I do have goals, but it's not speaking to a general view of the world of what that goal needs to look like. It speaks to what I have in front of me and what I want to see happen. And I don't want to disappoint myself in that sense. So, yeah.
I'm
me.
glad we didn't talk about the Super Bowl.
Ah!
With that, peace, son, for the peace.